Have you ever felt your energy slipping away like water through your fingers? Woken up one morning feeling present but not really here? Like your body is moving through the world, while your spirit drifts in unseen places, disconnected, scattered, hidden. You're not alone. Millions of people live stuck in that invisible fog, that inner haze that dulls the senses and clouds purpose. We often call it tiredness, stress, or just the daily grind. But what's really happening is a subtle yet deep loss of connection to the vital source of our energy. This ancestral current flows beyond the physical body, beyond what modern science can explain. Long ago, when wisdom wasn't written down but shared quietly under moonlight, sacred maps of the energy body were born. These maps describe not just veins and muscles, but invisible pathways where life force flows, the QE that ancient Taoist masters honored. Among these points, like a hidden gem inside the human body, there's one whose activation can bring back mental clarity, physical strength, and spiritual balance. A point mostly forgotten but deeply respected by the ancients. Kidney Meridian Point 27, a gateway in traditional Chinese medicine to the primal energy at the core of who we are. Today, we're not just observers, we're explorers of the soul. We'll discover why this energy key can change not only your daily vitality, but also your very sense of being. This isn't placebo or a passing trend. This wisdom has been passed down from master to student in mountain temples, shared only with those ready to awaken. In this video, we'll explain exactly what Kidney 27 is and where to find it, why activating it can unblock your stuck energy and sharpen your mind. What did ancient Taoist texts say about its spiritual power? Most importantly, how can you use this tool in your daily life to reconnect with your inner wellspring of Qi? Get ready to uncover a secret just beneath your collarbones, waiting to be awakened. You're ready to remember what your body has always known. In the ancient mountains of China, where monks meditated surrounded by silent pines and mist, a wisdom was born, not just to heal the body, but to align the human spirit with the universe. That wisdom is traditional Chinese medicine, a science of spirit before flesh, where every organ, every meridian, every point is a doorway to the mysteries of the cosmos. In this system, the kidney isn't just a biological filter. To Taoist sages, it's the storehouse of yin, the vital essence, the original code we're born with. Yin is the closest thing to a divine spark in energetic terms. It's the secret fire burning quietly in our core from the moment life begins. When this fire is strong, the body radiates health, the mind is clear, and the spirit flows freely. When it weakens, life seems to fade, like a candle slowly burning out in the dark. The kidney meridian, according to ancient texts, like the Huangdi Neijing, Yellow Emperor's inner canon, is more than just an energy channel. It's the pathway connecting the body's deepest roots, the invisible source of life, to the outside world. And at the top of this path, just below the collarbones, is Kidney Point 27, also called Shufu, or Mansion of the Treasure. Why such a grand name for such a small spot? Because Shufu marks the peak of an energy journey that starts at the soles of the feet. It's where the water of yin meets the breath of life, where inherited energy merges with energy gathered from the environment. Symbolically, it's the gateway where spirit turns into word, intention, and clear thought. To Taoist masters, this point is sacred crossroads. Through it flows life's original impulse and the current that lets the spirit express itself through the body. It's no coincidence this point sits near the throat, the center of communication and speech. In esoteric practice, kidney 27 is seen as the boundary between invisible and visible worlds. In some schools of internal alchemy, activating this point properly is said to align heaven and earth inside the body, linking cosmic energy with ancestral energy. Indeed, in Chinese philosophy, the body is a temple where the spirit rests like a sacred bird. Point 27 isn't just another door, it's the temple's grand entrance, the threshold between pure potential and its real-world expression. Those who understand its power don't activate it just for more energy. They do it to awaken, because where the kidney meridian ends, the journey of the awakened soul begins. Picture your body as a sacred temple built with invisible design. Every organ, bone, and breath contributes to a greater plan beyond yourself. But inside that temple are hidden chambers, secret halls lit not by electric light, but by consciousness. And among them is a quiet but powerful jade door guarding endless energy. That door is Shufu, kidney meridian point 27. To truly grasp what this point does, we first need to understand that in traditional Chinese medicine, the body is a living network of energy. Qi flows like a river through invisible channels called meridians. Each river links the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual parts of who we are. The kidney meridian is one of the most vital because it holds the deepest, densest, and most fundamental energy. Yin is the original fuel of the embodied soul. It doesn't replenish easily. It's drained by stress, overwhelming emotions, poor diet, and especially by losing spiritual connection. But there are ways to protect it, nurture it, and even revive it when it feels dormant. This is where Shufu comes in. This point is located just below the collarbone, along the edge of the sternum, on both sides of the body. Physically, it marks where the kidney meridian ends, but really, it's where something much deeper begins. In the energy tradition, Shufu is known for its ability to lift yin energy into conscious awareness, turning it into mental clarity, vital strength, and above all, presence. When blocked or out of sync, the symptoms aren't always physical. Often they show up as confusion without explanation, unexplained fatigue, or trouble making decisions. The person feels only half here, like their soul has stepped out for a moment. This is the disconnection of the spirit-body connection, the dying out of that inner fire once burning at the center of the chest. Stimulating this point is like lighting a lamp in that dark room. Stagnant energy starts moving, thoughts clear up. The body feels lighter and the breath deepens. But the biggest changes happen on a subtle level. The person begins to remember themselves. Shufu also has a deep esoteric significance. It connects the body's left and right sides, and so the mind. In Taoist symbolism, this union of yin and yang, the feminine and masculine, passive and active, represents balance. When worked consciously, Shufu does more than activate energy. It restores inner unity. The method to awaken it doesn't require gadgets or rituals, just presence, touch, and breath. By pressing and massaging Shufu, first one side, then the other, then both together, an amazing thing happens. Qi spirals upward. This spiral, according to some inner traditions, mirrors the energy that rises up the spinal cord during deep meditation, symbolizing the spirit's rise to awakened awareness. But this isn't a mechanical exercise. Its power comes from your presence. When you touch Shufu fully present, focused, and calm, the point seems to recognize your intention and opens to the waiting energy. Shufu isn't a magic button. It's a reminder, a silent mirror reflecting you back to your center. And this is just the beginning. So far, we've seen that kidney point 27, Shufu, is far more than just an anatomical spot. It's an energy gateway, a sacred meeting point between ancestral and cosmic forces. But what really happens when we activate it with mindful attention? What shifts take place? What vibrations awaken? To answer that, we need to see the body not as a machine, but as an instrument of resonance. Each energy point, like Shufu, is a string on this living harp. When you pluck that string with intention, the whole instrument vibrates. Shufu corresponds directly to the element of water, the kidney's ruling force in Chinese cosmology. Water symbolizes depth, the unseen flow that sustains life. In balance, water brings intuition, inner wisdom, calmness, and a deep connection to mystery. But when out of balance, it shows up as irrational fears, chronic tiredness, confusion, and lifelessness. Seen this way, Shufu isn't just an energy booster. It's a switch that restores dialogue between the deep and the conscious. By stimulating it, we don't just get energy back. We reclaim direction, purpose, and coherence. It's like our inner compass realigns with the spirit's wind. Many who work on this point for several days report clearer dreams, surprising emotional clarity, or even a feeling of having come home without leaving anywhere. What does that mean? That Shufu affects more than the body. It guides the soul's orientation within it. And when the soul is aligned, the body responds gratefully. Cells awaken, breath deepens, the heart beats calm. It's no accident this point sits near the throat, the center of spiritual expression. In many esoteric traditions, the throat is where spirit becomes word, song, or decree. When Shufu is blocked, it's common to feel voiceless, like you don't know what to say or even how to imagine. Activating this point restores the voice of the soul. It also acts as energetic protection. When our life force is low and point 27 is closed or hypersensitive, our energy field becomes vulnerable. Other people's emotions seep in unfiltered, discordant energies, stick easily, and we turn into an energy sponge. But when this point is regularly worked with conscious breathing and massage, it acts like an energetic seal, strengthening the aura and anchoring the body's central energy axis. In advanced internal alchemy, you learn this point must be open before deep meditation. Why? Because if Shufu isn't open, the energy you try to raise in meditation can get stuck or throw the body off balance. It's like trying to channel a river through a dry riverbed. Without this gate opening, the current has nowhere to flow. Here comes a subtle but crucial part: compassion toward yourself. Kidney 27 responds best when you massage it, not out of habit, but with loving, non-judgmental intention, because Shufu is also sensitive to the quality of touch. If you approach it with anxiety or automatic motion, it stays closed. But if you touch it like you're caring for your lost inner child's chest, it opens. At this point, we're beyond technique. We're speaking of sacred presence. Shufu becomes a daily ritual, a reminder that the body isn't a burden but an ally, that inside us lies a map to energy, clarity, and the soul itself. The true power of any spiritual knowledge isn't just in knowing it, but in living it. A truth that's been around for thousands of years but never touches your daily life stays just an echo. That's why, now that we've uncovered the mystery of Shufu, kidney channel point 27, it's time to bring this energy key out of the realm of symbols and into your everyday world. Because what good is knowing about a gate if you don't have the courage or consistency to walk through it? The first and most powerful way to make this point part of your life is through a daily practice of mindful touch. All you need are your hands, your breath, and a few minutes of quiet. When you wake up, before checking your phone, before talking, even before opening your eyes fully, sit or lie down comfortably. Place your index and middle fingers just below your collarbone at the edge of the sternum and start gently massaging the point. Do the right side first, then the left. Then bring both sides together by pinching lightly with your fingers. Breathe deeply. Feel your lungs expand. Imagine a clear light glowing from that spot, like a spark spreading across your chest. This morning ritual acts like a master key. It opens stuck energy, awakens the connection between mind and body, and strengthens the energy shield you carry into the world. It doesn't just reduce fatigue, it sharpens your presence. But it doesn't stop there. There's a deeper layer, inner listening. When you feel disconnected, confused, or overwhelmed emotionally, pause. Return your attention to Shufu. Close your eyes and ask yourself, which part of me needs to come home? Often our exhaustion doesn't come from the body itself, but from parts of ourselves we've neglected, an unresolved conflict, a delayed decision, a silenced inner voice. When you touch Shufu sincerely, it acts like an inner compass. Its sensitivity tells you, if it hurts, feels tight or cold, that's a sign. Your energy is fractured. Your job isn't to fix or force anything, but simply to reconnect with those parts of yourself. One more important tip. Guard well what you let in through your mouth, your ears, and your mind. The kidney channel and yin energy weaken with too much noise, empty food, and overstimulation that doesn't feed the soul. If you want Shufu to vibrate at its best, nourish your temple with beauty, silence, and purpose. Avoid meaningless chatter, toxic environments, and repetitive negative thoughts, not out of guilt, but to protect your energy. Finally, make this point an act of self-love, not a cold technique, but a tender moment. If every night at the end of the day you place your hand over Shufu and simply say, "Thank you for holding me," you'll be cultivating something far bigger than energy. You'll be restoring a sacred bond with yourself. Shufu isn't a secret to hide. It's a portal to live in. Sometimes the most powerful keys to changing our lives aren't hidden in dusty old books or guarded secrets. They're often right beneath our skin, waiting for our attention, our silence, our return. Kidney point 27, Shufu, isn't just another spot in the Meridian system. It's a sacred hinge between who we are and who we've forgotten to be. It marks the threshold between the dense physical world and the subtle realm of original energy. That's why working this point doesn't just activate your vitality. It helps you remember your spiritual design. We've seen that Shufu marks the end of the kidney channel, but not the end of the journey. Instead, it's the gateway where ancestral energy meets present awareness, carrying you forward. It's where vital breath meets intention, where yin begins to speak through you. I've shown you how stimulating it can clear your mind, refresh your body, and restore the core of your identity. How massaging it can awaken your energy, your intuition, your ability to act with presence, and your true voice. But beyond all technique, this point reminds you of something essential. Your body isn't a prison or just a vehicle. It's a living map, an oracle, a temple where every point, every heartbeat, every breath carries a lesson, a direction, a sacred memory. Becoming aware of this means you're not just a practitioner, you're a guardian of the mystery. Think of it this way. If your body were a musical instrument, Shufu would be one of the tuning pegs, a string that, when tuned right, lets the entire symphony of your life flow in harmony. Ignoring this point is like playing a piano with a broken string. Something's always off, always missing. So what will you do with this knowledge? Store it as a mental note or turn it into a ritual. See it as a neat fact or live it as a daily prayer. The difference is in your intention. Remember, Kui follows attention. Wherever you focus your energy, reality blooms. If today you choose to focus on yourself, on your balance, your awakening, you're not just healing your energy, you're healing your destiny. Every journey of transformation begins with a quiet choice. And maybe that choice, that tiny spark, is waiting right there beneath your collarbone, where heaven meets human chest and lights the flame. Thank you for staying with me. Now I invite you not to let this knowledge fade away. Practice it, share it, live it. If this video planted something in you, subscribe, leave your experience in the comments, and share it with those who need to remember that their body holds keys and their soul still longs to unlock them. Until our next journey, keep the flame alive and remember, your body isn't a mystery to solve. It's a secret to learn to listen to. Cacao, the food of the gods, and the gateway to the heart that was stolen from us. Cacao is the key that opens the heart's door without ever having to break it. Kate Wilson, the chocolate shaman. But what if I told you that the chocolate you eat today is just a pale shadow of a sacred ritual that once connected humans to the gods? What if behind every cacao seed lies a hidden secret, a forbidden medicine, an ancient code that can reawaken your dormant soul? You've been told it's just a sweet treat. You've been taught to eat it with guilt, to overindulge, or to calm your anxiety. But you were never told the truth. Cacao was considered a bridge between worlds. Not just a food, but a living substance with its own soul, able to open the human heart to the divine. A sacrament that today is distorted, packaged, and sold by multinational corporations that have forgotten or hidden its true meaning. In pre-Columbian cultures, cacao wasn't a dessert. It was an offering, a portal, a medicine. The Maya didn't drink it for pleasure, but as part of a rite. The Mexica offered it to Quetzalcoatl, and in the jungle, women used it in ceremonies to heal invisible wounds that no doctor could treat. Coincidence? Cacao was one of the first foods corrupted by the elite. They turned it into commercial chocolate, oversaturated it with sugar, and made it just a product, because when a food awakens the soul, it becomes dangerous to a system that prefers obedient bodies and closed hearts. What you're about to hear isn't a documentary about chocolate. It's a deep dive into ceremonial cacao, the energy of the heart, the memory of the body, and secret rituals that some communities still use today as a key to release trauma, spark visions, and reconnect with the divine. You'll also learn why it was taken from us, because it wasn't an accident, it was a plan. Get ready to discover why cacao was called the food of the gods, and why, when you consume it in its purest form, something inside you changes forever. Welcome to Beyond the Brain. Subscribe now, because what you're about to uncover will either open your heart or tear the blindfold from your eyes, or maybe both. The divine origin of cacao and its bond with the gods. Long before the world knew the word chocolate, cacao was already revered as sacred. In the Maya codices, it appears not as food, but as a divine offering. In Mesoamerican cultures, the cacao tree was called the tree of the gods. And that wasn't just a metaphor. The Maya believed cacao was a gift from the gods to align the human heart with the pulse of the universe. According to the Popol Vuh, the sacred book of the Quiché Maya, cacao existed before humans were born. It belonged to a parallel spiritual realm, the underworld, and was among the sacred foods the creators gave to the new humans after the Great Flood. They weren't alone. The Mexica, or Aztecs, saw cacao as a celestial substance sent by the god Quetzalcoatl. Legend says he stole the cacao tree from paradise and gave it to mankind so they might gain wisdom, strength, and spiritual connection. That divine theft wasn't an accident. Cacao has always been a spark of hidden power, a spark dangerous to those in control. Their reverence was so deep that in pre-Hispanic Mexico, cacao served as currency. With cacao seeds, you could buy goods, pay tribute, even offer worship. But here's the most striking fact. Only priests, kings, and warriors could drink it pure. For common people, it was forbidden. They prepared it only in rituals. They drank it bitter, thick, without sugar, sometimes mixed with blood, sometimes chili, sometimes hallucinogenic flowers. They called it chocolatl, which doesn't mean sweet, but bitter water. But that bitterness wasn't punishment, it was a key. Cacao did more than nourish. It opened, activated, awakened, allowing entry into a state where visions, messages, and buried emotions could surface. It unlocked the heart, the most guarded, most wounded, most feared center of energy. And here's where it gets unsettling. When colonizers encountered this brew, they didn't understand it. They condemned it as heresy, superstition, black magic, but still took it home, either to destroy it or study it in secret. In some European occult circles, cacao was used in alchemical and hermetic rituals. They didn't mix it with milk and sugar. They used it intentionally. They knew something awakened when cacao was pure and alive. And that's exactly what was stolen from us. They left us only the shell. They left us chocolate. But cacao is still waiting. Have you ever heard this before? Leave a comment and don't forget to subscribe because the deepest truths are still to come. Cacao as sacred medicine and its use in hidden rituals. If cacao was considered a gift from the gods, it wasn't for the body but for the soul. In the jungles of Mesoamerica and South America, where lineages of healers still survive, cacao is still used, not as a drink, but as a spiritual medicine. But beware, we're not talking about medicine in the pharmaceutical sense. There's no dosage, no prescription, no label. Cacao doesn't cure you like a pill. Cacao reveals, confronts, and reminds you who you really are, or everything you've forgotten. The original peoples believed cacao had its own intelligence. They said the plant speaks. If you consume it in silent respect, it guides you inward, not toward euphoria, but toward the heart. That invisible place where your wounds and traumas, as well as your power, are stored. In cacao ceremonies still held today in places like Guatemala, Peru, Mexico, and Brazil, a drink is made from pure cacao paste. No sugar, no chemicals, no industrial processing, and consumed slowly with song, silence, visualization, or dance. But what's truly striking is that these aren't just wellness rituals. Many of these ceremonies have been guarded by wise women, keepers of lost traditions, who use cacao as a tool to heal the soul, unlock hidden emotions, or open the chest's energy center. the heart chakra. In these ceremonies, they say cacao awakens memories long asleep. Some weep without knowing why. Others recall forgotten trauma. Some see images, symbols, numbers. Some enter deep visionary states without any psychedelic substances. But the most unsettling part is this. Many who've taken part in cacao ceremonies describe feeling contact with a feminine presence, subtle, loving, maternal, yet powerful. They call her grandmother cacao, a metaphor or a real spirit living in the plant. Much like ayahuasca, tobacco, or peyote, ancient shamans understood this well. Every sacred plant has a spirit guide, and cacao's, they said, doesn't seek to change you but to soften you. It doesn't aim to make you fly, but to help you remember. Because pure cacao doesn't cause addiction or wild euphoria. It creates connection, and that's exactly why it's a threat to the system. In a world where everyone feels disconnected, confused, divided, a substance that opens the heart and awakens sensitivity is revolutionary. That's why, in many centers of power, these ceremonies were silenced. They labeled them folklore, paganism, witchcraft. But in the shadows, they never disappeared. They carried on in caves, jungles, on secret altars. For cacao, when called with respect, becomes a mirror, showing you not what you want to see, but what you need to let go. How industry corrupted cacao and robbed us of its power. Everything you call chocolate today isn't cacao. It's a shadow, a caricature, a manipulated product with nothing to do with the living, powerful, spiritual substance ancient peoples revered. They stole it from us and replaced it with poison disguised as pleasure. When European colonizers arrived in the Americas, they didn't understand cacao's true value. They saw it as a novelty, an exotic curiosity, until they saw its commercial potential. Then, as always, they turned the sacred into business. They turned pure, bitter, dense, vibrant cacao paste into an industrial blend loaded with refined sugar, powdered milk, hydrogenated fats, and chemicals that completely distort its nature. The drink of the gods became cheap candy. The ritual became a product. The heart became merchandise. And the cruelest part, they made us dependent because pure cacao doesn't create addiction, but processed chocolate does. Thanks to sugar and synthetic ingredients, the system created an addictive, emotionally manipulative, and spiritually empty version. Ever wonder why so many people reach for chocolate when they're sad, lonely, anxious, or hurt? It's no accident. Commercial chocolate activates the same dopamine receptors as certain drugs. It soothes us, numbs us, but never awakens us. And what about cacao's spirit? It was pushed out, silenced, marginalized. The industry doesn't want you to connect with your heart. It wants you to buy, consume, chew without thinking. To make that happen, it hid the most dangerous truth, that cacao is not just food, it's consciousness. Even worse, the big multinational chocolate companies didn't just distort cacao, they polluted it with suffering. Most modern plantations in West Africa, where over 60% of the world's cacao is grown, rely on child labor, modern slavery, and land practices that destroy both earth and spirit. Kids who will never taste the chocolate they pick. Ripped lands, broken spirits, contaminated energy. Do you think that vibe doesn't get into the final product? Every bar carries the energy of where it came from, and what was once medicine for the heart now carries a burden of pain, exploitation, and neglect. But here's the most chilling fact. Some elites know. In modern occult circles, pure cacao is still used. Not the industrial stuff, but the original bitter living drink. For what? To open the heart or to control it. One thing's clear, Ceremonial Cacao doesn't advertise on TV. It's not on supermarket shelves. It lives in the shadows, waiting for someone to remember. Will you keep eating crumbs of a memory, or will you seek the source? If you're starting to question everything, you're on the right track. Subscribe and stay tuned, because next up, you'll find out how cacao is making a comeback as a spiritual tool, and why more people are using it to awaken. The return of cacao as a tool for soul expansion. For centuries, cacao was silenced, kept alive only in the collective memory of peoples, reduced to candy, dismissed as trivial, stripped of its soul. But now, something's happening. Cacao is awakening, and with it, we are waking up too. In recent years, a quiet but growing movement has begun to revive ceremonial cacao, not as a fad, but as ancestral memory, a whisper from the earth calling hearts back to connection. Shamans, therapists, healers, musicians, and medicine women are bringing back the sacred use of cacao as a key for healing, emotional opening, and energetic expansion. But not in labs, rather in circles, on altars, in ceremonies where the invisible finds its voice again. Why now? Because we live in a time of hyper-intellect and emotional disconnect. We live in our heads, behind screens, gripped by fear. But cacao works exactly where none of that can reach. The energetic heart, the anahata chakra. When you drink ceremonial cacao, pure, alive, honored, your heart rate syncs up, energy starts to flow, and emotions stuck for years begin to move. Unexpected tears, spontaneous hugs, visions, gut feelings, revelations. Many who've experienced this say it feels like an invisible key turns inside their chest. It's not magic, it's cellular memory. It's the plant saying, "Here I am, I've been waiting for you." And it's not just emotional. Many energy healers explain that cacao, working on the heart, also affects your aura's electromagnetic field, expands your frequency, clears interference, and makes you magnetic. That's why some people report that after several cacao ceremonies, they naturally attract aligned experiences, new relationships, meaningful coincidences, lucid dreams, and even expanded states of consciousness. But here's the best part. You don't need a shaman or a temple to begin. You just need respect and pure cacao. No additives, no sugar, no ego. Ceremonial cacao, warmed with intention, sipped in silence or alongside mantras, breathwork, and inner connection. And here's the big question. Who wouldn't want you to open your heart? Who benefits from your numbness, your disconnection, your coldness? Because a person with a closed heart is easy to manipulate, but a person with an open heart is uncontrollable. They feel, they perceive, they sense. That's why cacao is more than a drink. It's a tool of spiritual revolution. This isn't religion or a trend. It's reclaiming a bridge that's always been there, and now you know it's real. Do you want to feel with your soul again? Like this post, comment if you've tried it, and subscribe. Because awakening is remembering, and remembering can hurt, but it also frees. The heart remembers what the mind has forgotten. For centuries, they taught you to think, but not to feel. They trained you to collect data, solve problems, follow rules, but not to listen to the silent language of the soul. And in that forgetting, in that exile of the heart, we lost a wisdom that doesn't come from books, but wakes from within. In its purest form, cacao is a living symbol of that forgotten wisdom. It's not just a drink, not just a product, it's a code. A key hidden in the earth, wrapped in leaves, waiting for someone to remember how to use it. But this key doesn't open external doors. It opens the only one that truly matters, the heart's door. And we're not just talking about emotions. We mean the magnetic center of your being. That field which, when closed, makes you feel lost, disconnected, hostile, but when opened, remembers, feels, and guides. Today, you don't need permission from a temple or blessing from any guru. You only need to quiet the noise and let pure, raw, ceremonial cacao enter your body as the ancients did, with intention, respect, and soul. Because what you get from supermarkets isn't cacao. It's a shadow, a distraction, forgetting disguised as sweetness. But now you know the difference. Now you know that in every cup of ceremonial cacao lies a real chance to reconnect, a humble portal, no flashy lights or fancy words, yet more powerful than any doctrine. Because when the heart opens, no lie can fool you, no fear can stop you, no system can control you. That's why they hid it from you, why they twisted it. Because they knew that if you remembered who you really are, their whole system would crumble. Today, cacao is coming back, not as a trend or a Sunday therapy, but as a call, a reminder, a seed of spiritual revolution. And maybe not everyone is ready for it. But if you've made it this far, it's because you are. Now decide, will you keep consuming what the industry feeds you? Or will you dare to prepare your own cup of conscious cacao? Look inside and open the door the systems tried to lock for centuries. Cacao isn't magical. You are. Cacao just reminds you of that. If this message spoke to you, share this video, leave a comment, and ring the bell. Here on this channel, hidden truths aren't silenced. They're savored. Subscribe and get ready, because each chapter cracks the system and plants a seed in your soul. Until next time. Imagine for a moment that inside you there's a secret fire, a fire that doesn't burn your skin but transforms your soul, a fire that doesn't destroy but cleanses. This fire has been sought after by mystics, sages, and seekers for centuries. They've called it many names: Holy Spirit, Prana, Kundalini, but there's one name that crosses cultures and time: alchemy. But we're not talking about the alchemy of turning lead into gold. This isn't about old experiments with crucibles and retorts. We're talking about a deeper, more powerful, and more dangerous kind of alchemy. Spiritual alchemy, the lost art of turning the ordinary into the extraordinary, ego into awareness, shadow into light. What if I told you that right now you're in the middle of an alchemical process and don't even realize it? That every setback, every loss, every breakup you've gone through is an essential step in your inner growth. That you're not a victim of chaos, but an apprentice in the great work. In this video, we'll uncover the mysteries of this sacred science, hidden for centuries behind symbols and metaphors. Together, we'll explore the principles of spiritual alchemy and how you can apply them to completely transform your life from the inside out. Let's lift the veils of the obvious and get to what really matters. We'll see how ancient civilizations like Egypt, Greece, and the Hermetic schools already knew that true transformation happens not outside, but within. That matter is simply a reflection of spirit. And the real gold is awakening consciousness. Even more importantly, I'll show you how to recognize which stage of the alchemical process you're in right now, and what to do so you don't get stuck halfway through. Because this spiritual journey isn't a straight line. It's cyclical, spiraling, full of symbols that only an awakened heart can understand. Get ready for a journey inward, a descent into the crucible of your soul, where the ego's impurities are burned away and your true essence rises like the purest gold. This is the beginning of your great work, and there's no turning back. Official history says alchemy was just a medieval precursor to chemistry, a curious practice obsessed with turning lead into gold. But that's just the surface, a dull shell hiding a mystical core, a secret map to the highest spiritual transformation. True alchemy is much older than Europe's labs. Its roots go deep into ancient Egypt, where the followers of Hermes Trismegistus guarded the sacred laws of the soul's transformation. Texts like the Emerald Tablet and the Corpus Hermeticum didn't talk about metals, but about the human soul as the primal substance. Lead was the sleeping ego, gold was awakened consciousness, and the process required not a furnace, but an inner fire. The Greeks inherited this wisdom and blended it with their philosophy, especially through Neoplatonism. Thinkers like Plotinus and Plato's followers talked about the soul's ascent from the material world to the divine. To them, the visible world was just an imperfect reflection of a higher realm, the world of ideas, spirit, and eternity. But it was in the Middle Ages that this wisdom was wrapped in symbols, myths, and riddles. European alchemists, persecuted by religious authorities, hid their knowledge in books like the Mudus Liber and the Splendor Solis. Dragons, serpents, kings, and skulls filled their pages, not for decoration, but as coded language for those who could read it. Spiritual alchemy was a dangerous path. The transformation could drive mad those without a strong inner foundation. Sufi mystics, tantric yogis, and Taoists knew this too. Across cultures, the idea emerged that humans are microcosms, a whole universe within that must be purified, aligned, and ultimately enlightened. The alchemical process has parallels: purification, nigredo, illumination, albedo, and sacred union, rubedo. These stages represent not just inner change, but true rebirths of the soul. And though the symbols differ, from the phoenix rising from ashes to the lotus blooming in mud, the message is the same. Humanity isn't finished. It's a work in progress, a great work. Today, in the 21st century, this wisdom is coming back, not as dogma, but as a necessity, because never before have we been so disconnected from our inner fire, and never before have we had such power to rekindle it. Spiritual alchemy is a journey. It doesn't happen overnight or behind temple walls. It takes place in the body, in emotions, in thoughts. It's a transformation where the traveler returns changed. To understand it, we need to dive into its three main phases, three gateways that reveal not just the mystery of the soul, but the truth about yourself. Every alchemical process begins with what the sages called nigredo, the black stage. It's the symbolic death. It's when your familiar world falls apart, you lose your bearings, your identity fragments, and pain becomes your teacher. In today's terms, it's depression, existential emptiness, the dark night of the soul. But it's not punishment, it's cleansing. In the crucible of life, the soul boils away what no longer serves you. False beliefs, attachments, masks, everything has to dissolve. It's the moment when something inside you must die so something higher can emerge. It's uncomfortable, sure, but also sacred. The inner alchemist knows that darkness isn't the enemy. It's an ally, because what doesn't die can't transform. After purification comes albedo, the white stage. This is when clarity returns. It's like coming out of a tunnel and seeing light, not outside but within. You start to remember who you really are beyond the ego. You stop searching outside for what's missing because you begin to realize the true gold is inside you. At this stage, many people begin to experience deep peace, vivid dreams, or meaningful coincidences. Intuition sharpens, emotions settle, and a new way of seeing life unfolds. It's as if something in you has been washed clean by celestial waters. But watch out, this light is fragile if you don't protect it. The ego may try to sneak back in. The work isn't done yet. The final stage, the most mysterious, is rubedo, the red stage. This is where sacred union happens. Not a sudden flash of insight or mystical escape, but real integration of soul and body. You're no longer someone searching for spirituality. You've become it. Your life, your actions, your words, they all flow with coherence. Rubedo is when the internal change shows up outwardly. Your relationships shift. Your surroundings respond to your new energy. You've embodied the philosophical gold, not a metal but a vibration, conscious love, aligned will, awakened being. And here the cycle starts again, because alchemy isn't a finish line, it's an upward spiral. Having grasped the three major alchemical phases, nigredo, albedo, and rubedo, it's time to uncover the symbolic codes and the inner resistances that protect this wisdom like a sacred flame. Spiritual alchemy isn't just a process, it's a trial, a series of locked doors that open only with deep understanding. Ancient alchemists knew the soul doesn't answer to rational words, but to symbols. That's why they didn't write straightforward philosophy, but books full of cryptic images. The dragon, the raven, the rose, the egg, the green lion. Each symbol stands for a psychic energy in the transformation. The black raven, for example, represents the death of the ego in nigredo. It's not a bad omen, but a sign that something inside you is ready to fall away. The dragon, a creature of fire and earth, represents the raw force of your shadow, your buried desires, anger, guilt. Facing it is necessary to free stuck energy. The philosophical egg symbolizes the inner vessel where transformation happens. You are the egg, and inside you, the new you is growing. Symbols aren't meant to be memorized. They need to be felt. They're vibrational keys. Meditating on them, drawing them, even dreaming about them, awakens parts of your psyche. Real transformation always meets resistance, not because the universe wants to punish you, but because the ego fears disappearing. On the alchemical path, doubts, self-sabotage, old wounds resurface just when you think you're making progress. This isn't regression, it's a test. These are the guardians at the threshold, unconscious forces blocking entry to your new self. Their role isn't to stop you, but to reveal what you haven't yet loved or understood. Many souls get stuck here, mistaking resistance for failure, when it's actually a sign that transformation is near. If you can stand in the fire without running away, without judging or giving up, something new will be born. None of this works if you don't light your inner fire. That fire is an alchemical blend of conscious will and true devotion. Will without love becomes control. Love without will turns into avoidance. But when they come together, they create the heat the soul needs to melt, purify, and finally become gold. So, spiritual alchemy isn't just knowledge. It's practice. It's a daily dance between what you know and what you live. between what you hold on to and what you let go. It's the lost science of coming back to yourself. It's easy to see spiritual alchemy as a high-minded idea, a mystical relic wrapped in ancient symbols and metaphors. But its real power shows up when it hits the ground, when it touches your daily life, your choices, your relationships. Because a true alchemist doesn't live in ivory towers but walks the streets, feels the emotions, and faces the challenges. Here are some practical steps to bring this ancient wisdom into your daily life. They're not magic tricks, but seeds of change. First, embrace your chaos without fear. When you're going through a crisis, don't run from it or judge it. Remember, you're entering your nigredo, the dark crucible where the old dies. Write down your feelings, sit with them, breathe with them, watch them break apart without fighting. Naming chaos takes away its power. Denying it only makes it stronger. Tip: keep a transmutation journal where you note your shadows, repetitive thoughts, automatic reactions, not to judge yourself, but to shine a light on your patterns. Second, cleanse your inner temple. Albedo won't arrive if your body and environment are overloaded. Spiritual cleansing starts physically. Clear your space, turn down the noise, cut back on excess. Every unused object, every toxic thought you hold on to is lead keeping your gold from shining. Tip: dedicate 1 day a week to silence and reflection. It's not punishment, it's a way to let your soul breathe. Third, use the fire of intention. Any ordinary action can become alchemical if you do it with full presence, from making a cup of tea to looking someone in the eyes. When you bring together attention and intention, you create sacred heat, and where there's heat, transformation happens. Tip: when you wake up, quietly repeat a simple affirmation like, "Today I am a channel of clarity and transformation." It sets the tone for your day. Fourth, bring what you learn into your relationships. The rubido stage isn't reached by isolating yourself, but when your transformation affects those around you. You become more patient, more honest, more compassionate. That's when the gold you've cultivated becomes real. The real test isn't in meditation, but in how you speak, how you listen, and how you respond when someone hits a sore spot. Tip: pick a challenging relationship and ask yourself, what part of me wants to react, and what part can respond from awareness? Fifth, practice simple alchemy. Light a candle with purpose, charge a stone with intention, take a deep breath before a meeting. Anything can become a ritual if you do it consciously. Magic isn't about grand gestures, it's in loving repetition. Throughout this journey, we've crossed the hidden thresholds of spiritual alchemy. We've descended into nigredo, where darkness exposes what's unhealed. We've risen to albedo, where clarity begins to reflect regained purity. And finally, we've caught a glimpse of rubido, the sacred union of your divinity and your humanity. But alchemy isn't just theory, it's fire. And that fire only sparks when you choose to light it. Today, in a society that rewards distraction and punishes inner silence, becoming an alchemist is a sacred act of rebellion. It's telling the universe, I'm willing to remember who I am, despite the collective forgetfulness. That decision shifts your energy, your perception, your path. Your soul doesn't demand perfection, it demands authenticity. It doesn't ask you to be a guru, repeat formulas, or isolate yourself from the world. It just wants you to remember that inside you is a substance more precious than any physical gold. Awakened consciousness. That consciousness holds creative, healing, and transforming power. You don't need to escape life to make it spiritual. You need to bring spirituality into the life you already have. Your relationships, your body, your choices, your silences. That's your laboratory. Every time you light a candle with intention, every time you face your shadow without judgment, every time you choose love instead of pain, an ancient chain breaks. And in that moment, without you even noticing, hundreds of awakened souls across time and space celebrate with you. This path, while it may seem personal, is woven by a network of silent alchemists, some embodied, others without bodies, all working toward the same goal, freeing the light trapped in matter. Don't wait for an external sign, it's already here. This message, this synchronicity, this urge to learn more is your initiation. Don't ignore that spark, protect it, nurture it, let it grow. If this message spoke to you, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share it with anyone you feel also needs to remember. Because the more we share this wisdom, the more we help ignite the fire in other hearts. Thank you for being here, for seeking, for remembering. Keep moving forward with courage.